Good morning, everyone. This is Jason Bitbender Brink. We are here for a Townstar AMA with the. Ah, crap. Forgot to mute myself in the background.
Echo, echo.
Echo, echo, echo. There we go. All better now. Sorry about that, guys. We are here for a Townstar AMA with Michael McCarthy and T. Elliot Cannon. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Right, good, doing good, yeah.
Wonderful. So today, I think what we're going to do is this is Elliot's sort of official introduction to the Gala Games community. We posted a little article about him the other day, but that's nothing compared to the actual man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Elliot?
Oh gosh, okay. Hardcore
Sorry.
gamer, hardcore gamer ever since I was a kid. Ever since D&D came out and coin op and all that kind of stuff. Architect for 10 or 11 years. Jumped in the game industry in like 95 at Epic Games on Unreal. I was one of the original guys at Epic. We made Unreal and Unreal Tournament. Done a bunch of Unreal Engine games. Was over at Crytek for 5 years. We did all the Crisis games. Some of the more later games I did later in my career, like the last reboot of Doom in 2016. And the last 3 or 4 years, I've been doing some high resolution VR training for the Air Force and the Army using the Unreal Engine and photogrammetry and stuff. So I've been wanting to get back into gaming again, and Michael and I hooked up, and so I'm just totally stoked to be here because this is the direction that games really need to go. Because MMO just it all just disappears. So yeah, I'm really great to be here, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we're all super excited to have you here. I know that the community is very interested in you and who you are. I know that you are personally responsible for me spending far too much time on a few different games when I was a kid.
Which
Um,
ones
oh man, I played the hell out of Unreal Tournament. Like,
and which map?
oh god, what was it? We
Acing Worlds or Deck
yeah.
16?
We
Yeah,
we played forever. So
that
that
was fun.
was good times. So thank you for that, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, and so yeah, Michael, how are you doing today, man?
I am pretty good this morning. Pretty good. Yeah, I
See,
think for me, guys, I've been the game director of Townstar and Mirandus. And a lot of my energy has been focused on Mirandus lately, and I need my energy focused almost primarily on Mirandus and needed to hand off Townstar to another game director, somebody that I really can trust, somebody that has the right mindset, who understands and loves, gets the game. And, you really always are very fortunate to get someone who's 25 years deep in game development. And Elliot is just fantastic in every way. He gets why Townstar is wonderful and wants to take it to the next level. So that'll help me really, really focus on Miranda's development, and Elliot can take Townstar, and I'll still be connected too. Elliot and I talk all the time. I think we're a pretty sweet tag team. So I think you guys are going to be really happy because there'll just be someone there for Townstar who's there 24/7. And I think the community could, you saw me a lot more on Discord. You saw me a lot more active in the community. I feel like a while back, and I want that energy. I want us always to be connected to you guys. And so me being split up and having a bunch of different responsibilities was tougher, and it was harder for me to connect with you guys as often as I wanted to. So it really makes a lot of sense for us to bring on someone who kicks ass and who loves Townstar and can be there for you guys. And that's kind of why Elliot's here.
Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. It's gonna be fun though. I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of notes from Michael. Small percentage of his brain dump this week. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much here to do. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. Yeah.
One of the things that I like most about Townstar and really everything that we're working on is how we have this element of simulation that's built in. So it's a lot deeper, I think, than some other sort of surface level, almost lottery style games. What's interesting to me, and you and I talked about this a little bit, is Elliot, is that there are parallels that you can draw between a game like Townstar and games that look nothing like them. some of the other ones that you've worked on in your career, like Doom, for example.
Mhm.
What sort of interesting parallels do you see for between these types of games? What's the overlap that the casual player might not understand?
Well, almost every single type of game in the whole world is usually about someone's goals. That most of the games are happening up here. It doesn't matter what the graphics are. Graphics from going back to Ultima Online, Eve Online, going up to high res graphics. It doesn't matter. Even mobile games. Most people, when they're getting into the game, they want to get jump in a universe. Yes, that's great, but they want to do something that comes from them. So they want to be their idea, their plan, their strategy, their failure, their reward, their growth. That loop of doing that and having fun is all games connect pretty much that way. And whether it's, I've done a lot of shooters, I've worked on some MMOs, I've worked on action adventure games. Almost every time you're designing something for somebody else, it's try to make all these different types of players out there interested to where they want to play the game as a hobby, because that's where the fun is. Michael sometimes says some of these games they're like an activity. People do all kinds of stuff because they're engaged with it. Even the training stuff I did for the Air Force, some of those things like Kobayashi Maru, intelligence aircraft on fire type situations, it's got to be engaging. So that's where I think the magic in games really happens, whether it's pen and paper to video games or anything, is keeping someone's imagination captivated and challenge them so they feel like, hey, this isn't easy. I got to figure this out. So I would say it's the biggest, like high level, crazy philosophical connectivity between it.
If I was on a plane and it was on fire, I'd be super engaged.
Just take the
Very.
headset off. You'll be okay.
I'd be good.
So wait. Did I hear you correctly? And I know that this is probably not the direction that this AMA was going to go, but I'm here and I have a microphone and I control the software, so I'm going to ask the questions I want answers to.
Sure.
Did you say that the Air Force has a Kobayashi Maru simulation? Do they call it that?
On the advice of counsel, I refuse to answer. No,
Oh,
actually, what we've done in the past was use Unreal Engine and use VR headsets and create digital twins and copies of aircraft so airmen can train at any base around the world by using a gaming laptop like this in a box. So you can take a
nice.
gaming laptop like an Alienware laptop you can buy right now, and with a good VR headset, and then you're in the aircraft. It's high fidelity, all the buttons, procedures, because everything, and those people's line of work, they got to do it check by check. So it allows instructors a way to kind of like mix it up and throw things you wouldn't actually get to train for. So you can do the imaginary disasters type things.
That is
That's
amazing.
fun. It's fun. I enjoy it, but it just doesn't. I'm a kid, man. I grew up playing games. It's got to be, like I said, it's got to be more up here. So I'm just really glad to be back in a market that's like this, doing something really innovative that needed to be happening 25, 40 years ago. So
Now
Well, it's also great knowledge for us too, because Mirandus is a first person game, but we definitely want to support VR if we can too. So, a lot of that learning and stuff you went through will be really valuable.
yeah. Yeah, because most airmen are gamers. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I mean,
Mhm.
you had to have those training things done for anyone. Anyone can use it without
I
being
think
motion sickness or all that.
I think almost everyone is a gamer these days. Like it's like
Oh yeah.
kind of ubiquitous now. I think that there's 2.5 billion gamers on the face of the planet, and I would venture to say that basically anyone over the age of maybe 8 and under the age of 40 is almost for sure a gamer at some level.
It's
Like,
true.
you know, whether it's on your phone or console or PC or whatever. But yeah, I think
I love
everyone's a
it.
gamer.
And Townstar, I mean, Townstar, that's one of the hopes for Townstar is that you'd have the ability to play with your friends and family. That the game, I think Townstar, is it can be complex at some point. Like making gas is not trivial. It's an incredible milestone, I think, for a player when they can like get their town humming so well and they've got enough cash coming in that they can create their own gas supply. It's one of the things that we talk about a lot. But I think playing with friends and family is really awesome, and it's our kind of hopes that you could be. We have players who are 8 years old. Um, you know, some of my children's friends love Townstar, and we have players who are 65 or 70 years old and like Townstar as well. And so that's one of the things that I love about Townstar is I feel like, age 8 to 80, you can kind of engage with it. And I think in the future, when we're able to go deeper with connections between players and friends lists and guilds and stuff like that, that there'll be even more meaningful kind of connections, tournaments that we could host. Um, so it's one of the things that I love about Townstar, and Elliot loves that too.
Oh yeah, the potential growth and what you can add to this game is huge. There's so many fun things you could add. It's just a tip of what it could be, and we'll push that further. 100%.
If well, okay, so you may not be able to answer this question, or you may not want to answer this question. If that is the case, that's totally fine. What is
But
something, but exactly, given that you've been playing the hell out of Townstar now, like it's your job because it's your job, what would you like to see come to the game?
Oh gosh, do we have 4 hours? I mean, there's you guys have already got a massive list of stuff you've talked about that I've been just downloading all week long. All these different features, being able to set up tournaments in the future, all these. It's just crazy how much you already have in the works. I need to execute and get a roadmap going for that like right away. Like that's one of the first things. There's all kinds of other technical game development stuff and different builds and improvements and all that. Yes, you're going to do that no matter what game you're working on. If I can get a strong handle on that pretty fast and get those things churning, maybe get a couple more people to help out in the team, then we can start going, okay, what's the really cool, neat, creative things to expand the game, take it further, make it even more fun, where those challenges aren't like there's 6 or 7 solutions, just can you execute to get to those solutions. It becomes like, whoa, this is really different. I need to really rethink this one. That's one of the things I like about how the changes are happening every week with the Mayhem. One week it's this one week it's this one. Well, it's like a mutator back in the old days in Unreal Tournament. Sometimes it's zero gravity, sometimes it's not. So pushing someone to improvise in the game is like, can you do this challenge with the rules different? That's great too. It's just massive how much stuff we can do with it.
And,
It's a great starting point.
and we have such an amazing community too that will be
Oh yes,
absolutely delighted to help with some of the tuning. I think that
I love that.
every single time we come back to how awesome everybody is in terms of figuring stuff out. I mean, you drop into the Townstar channels after one of the tournaments start, and the collaborative nature of everything. Like, oh, okay, it's going to be blue steel, so now you have to do this thing and you have to do that thing and build one of these and use this NFT. It'll help you. It's absolutely amazing to watch, and I think that
Your Discord community is great.
yeah.
I've been hanging out there for about 4 days now. Hanging out.
working,
I've been lurking. I've been listening. I've been getting information from the community and answers to my questions without having to have to ask them. Because there's lots of cool resources, influencers on the web and websites. And Michael's been giving me as much possible information as you can, but you got to play it. You got to go in there and be a player. And so I've been being a player, making terrible salt factories and all kinds of stuff. I made a mistake of making a town on the Isle of Crete, and it's actually still there in the background. And I think I ruined my game like 4 times in a row, and now I'm making tons of money. But I built the wrong thing. But I'm going to go in there and bang around on it. Like, what is it like to be a player to play this thing?
Yeah.
don't plant your crops right by the ocean,
But that's salt.
A
It's natural.
brine
Yeah,
by the ocean
yeah,
is a pretty
yeah.
sweet
Well, I'm not.
deal.
I'm not an awesome player. I'm going to work to become one. Hopefully, I'll grow into it. But the thing about your Discord community I really like is the fact that someone's coming in with like, "Hey, I can't do this. I ran out of gas," and the answers that the community's given, like polite, friendly. The person's like, "Oh, cool. Now I'm gonna cook the information. Maybe we're not do that." With all the games I've worked on, the other communities don't usually act that way. Sometimes they're narky, and sometimes they're not as welcoming to new people that are trying to figure it out. Because this is a learning curve. That's
There
where
is
the
an
challenge
intense
comes
learning
in.
curve. I
Yeah.
face plant every time I try to play Townstar. I face plant. I'm usually too busy to play. One of the sad things about my life is that I spend so much time working that I don't have as much time to play anymore. I played a game for the first time in a few. Well, I guess that's other than the Civ 6, the nightly Civ 6 game I have going with Eric.
Hmm.
Although that's like 50% working, 50%, playing a game. But
Hmm.
yeah, I every time I try Townstar, I face plant hard. I think I've only gotten to gasoline production a couple times, and I know how to do it on a theoretical level. It's just it takes some skill. It takes some skill.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of games that have this attraction for one day I'm going to be able to do that too. Like a lot of like League of Legends, Dota, all these different games, all these games. Oh, one day I want to be able to do that too. I want to be a top arena player in WoW. You want to be Guild Wars top arena player. Whatever it is your goal is, whatever game you're playing. Um, the journey to get there is you're grabbing all this information, you start going off course and putting your personal twist on it. Because what you'd like to do is get to this way where you can do whatever you want to do, but it was your own way. And I think that's one of the things when people are trying to develop anything they're trying to do, they're trying to do it. They're trying to do it the best way possible, not just duplicate someone else's blueprint all the time. They want to come to the table, hey, this is the neat idea that I came up with. Now other people adopting it. And these kinds of games have that element to it because it's very, it's like 75 games of chess happening simultaneously. Anyway, off on a tangent slightly, but
no, I mean, I think it's very interesting. You know, I think I've said before in other AMAs, but I'll say it again. You know, everything in my early part of the career and everything in the early days of gaming was very fueled, I think, by tabletop games and Dungeons and Dragons and this concept of getting people together and then people coming up with fascinating solutions. And all of the games in the early days were all trying to recreate that experience. It's like, how do we let players do everything? How do we let them make their own choices? How do we deepen and deepen and deepen that experience? And I think it's just really important and cool and a lot more fun. If you're on the rails, you have nothing to talk about with your friends. It's just not an experience that I personally enjoy, you know? And so, I mean, even, you know, Black Owl Studios and Troika and, you know, everything, the North Star was, well, what if a player wants to do this? What if they want to do this? What if they want to do this? Okay, well, we're going to have to build some code to let them do that, to let them do that, to let them do that. That was kind of the DNA and the soul and the spirit. And I think I still carry that through. And I think it is true to you too, Elliot, you know, and the reason I love Townstar is the freedom of it. You know, it's the freedom. Oh, hi, my daughter.
hello.
Hi.
Future digital artist.
If you're in Townstar, what do you do?
Hire more children.
You know, you can do whatever you want inside those games, and that's why they're kind of cool and fun. Guys, do you want to say hi to the entire Townstar community?
Hello.
Did you have your waffles? Did you have your toast?
Hola.
Yeah.
They're ready to go back to bed.
Look, guys. This is the behind the scenes look.
Yes.
All right. Go.
Michael makes Mirandas and waffles.
That's a Unity plugin.
So somebody here in the Mellow Yellow from YouTube says I like that people make Excel documents about Townstar and their strategies are like treasures. You won't find them online. Except sometimes you will find people sharing them, which I think is absolutely amazing and shows, you know, speaks a lot to the collaborative nature of the community, how people will make these crazy, crazy things. And these are deep documents. I've seen screenshots that they post. I mean, deep tuning docs that look actually a lot like the tuning docs that I've seen you use, McCarthy. It's really,
Except
really
they're
cool.
they're probably better tuned. I mean, some of our top players are so incredibly good, you know, and we count on.
Do you want to give a couple shout outs to some amazing players?
I feel like it rotates. Oh my God, you know, it's funny to hear you say it, but it's like who are some of our favorite ones? Like from the past, they're a little bit like rock stars to me. They would show up and they would win week over week. And Drewy had a pretty long run there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He absolutely did. And
Drewy,
the BTB team.
Yes, the BTB team. Oh my gosh.
Samuel Fernandez from YouTube mentions them. Bien Blost before he started working for us.
Oh my gosh.
He's like the OG. That name, by the way, everyone, Bin Blost. Okay, Ben Blast, that means Bone Storm. How metal is that? Like, that's the most metal name I can imagine. Okay, let's see here. Oh, Happy. Oh, yeah, Happy, absolutely. So, anyway, um, Nathaniel Merrick says Binblost trained me with his YouTube. It was great. Yeah, the Townstar Guide team, everybody. You guys are all amazing. You know,
Well, we're
we
building this. I think, and this is one of the reasons that I love Elliot too, is that we're building these games differently. We're not disappearing and, sitting around a room with a bunch of developers and then someone's going to get the game later and here it is. And that's just that,
right. Here it is. Take it. Be happy.
Townstar is built with the community and the community's feedback. One of the things that I'm very excited about, is we're scaling the team up quite a bit. We've got Elliot here. The best suggestions in the world are in the Townstar suggestions, like Discord channel. And some of them are not too hard to develop. We just really need to be tracking them and delivering them to you guys. But it's incredible. It's like I feel like we're all building this together, and that is how it feels to me.
We are. So one of the things, and McCarthy, you worked on Farmville 2 a lot. Farmville 2 had a DAU of, I think, 34 million at top. Okay. You look in the distance.
That's a mental spreadsheet being accessed.
Like an MAU. I don't know if it's 34 million DAU. It was like MAU probably.
Somewhere.
I think it's like 150 million installs.
Anyway, the question that I'm getting to here, and this actually comes from Unlimited Comedy on YouTube, and all of you Discord people, I will be there in a moment. I'm just getting some of these questions out of the way. They would like to know, where can Townstar reach? Like, what are we, when we look at this with Townstar, on its continued trajectory, new things being added in, Gala chain being stood up so that we're not like manacled to Ethereum. What do you envision this being in the long run?
Elliot and I have talked a lot about it this week, and we've talked to the community about this previously, but I would like, and Elliot would like, Townstar to be the place that you go to play a little town game or a farm game for any reason that excites you. So we love that it's a weekly competition game, but we both recognize that this competition game needs to be different so that everyone can play and compete. There's different time zones that come into it. Some people might want to do a 3-hour competition or a 3-day competition. They might want it to start and stop at different times. So I think, we are still committed and dedicated to this concept that, can we open these championships up to other players? Make any server you want, any type of championship you want, so that it fits better into everyone's life and that you can have fun grudge matches in your community and things like that. So that's the competition side of it, which I think is really fun, because it's kind of like an RTS town builder, which is, always fun in RTSs, I think. But broader than that, there's a lot of players that aren't necessarily interested in the competition aspect. They want to really build and manage, curate an incredible little machine, an incredible little farm or town. And so we want to take that simulation to a persistent game where you're not necessarily competing. You're getting to grow your own little town and really dial it in and make sure that machine works fantastically. And we want that to be on a very large map, and players can go deep in that and invest in it for forever. We actually talked about calling it Townstar Forever. So I think it's like, we want to host big competitions. I think that's fun. We want to unlock competitions that fit into players' lives, and player created servers. And then we want to unlock a massive grid running a huge simulation. And it's a challenge, but um, you know, build a little town that lasts forever and have it be huge. That's really cool and exciting to us too. So people that loved Farmville want a persistent town. We typically call it want a persistent farm. We want to give them that experience as well.
King Snorky from YouTube would like fruit trees. Is that something you see on the horizon somewhere?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There you go. Fruit
I mean,
trees.
there's so much we can do, you know. There's also the competition game, and there's that concept of the persistent game too. And I think ordering the content is always a real challenge, you know. So like in some games, if you just throw something in there, it's really easy to chuck in there because it's not deeply tied to the other systems of the game. So everything that we release, like when we release wine, it's, you know, we can't just release wine. I mean, we could, but that would suck. That's not very much fun. It's more like you need the entire chain and ecosystem of the game to be extended. You know, you need to mine new materials. You need, you know, where do you get, you know, you need the grapes. You got to make the bottles. You got to, I wish we had a cork tree, you know.
Like the money tree in Sims.
You know, so, you know, when we say fruit trees, I don't think we would ever release a fruit tree because that would let you plant a fruit tree and you'd get a lemon, right? Or you'd get an orange or, you know, a lime. What we would probably do is extend some of the confections like the pies or, you know, things like that. And then build that entire chain up and down. So when we talk about fruit trees or when players are suggesting content, we're always thinking about, okay, well, if we implement that, we want to also be able to take it all the way through to what we call an apex good, like blue steel, wine, and cake.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to now, for all of you guys who are listening in various other places, which we have quite a few people, nice community on YouTube, Twitch. Welcome, guys. I appreciate you all taking the time to join us. I can't see numbers for Cacao or Theta. Hopefully, you guys are there as well. But we're going to be switching over to Discord here to take some questions. We will continue streaming here exactly as we are right now, but I'm going to turn off the restream chat here, and we will begin pulling questions directly from Discord. You guys can join our Discord by going to galagames.chat, and we'll be in the general channel. So that's one of the places that you land. And it should be super easy for you to find us. And yeah, there we go. Oh, hold on, I'm recentering. I always hate it when it clips to when you're moving a window and it automatically, you know, magnets over to the side so you can't center it nicely.
OBS snapping.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what I'm dealing with. Okay. So I'm actually going to kill the restream chat so it doesn't distract me. So I'm just here for our Discord peeps. Okay, guys. Whoa, here comes the questions. Lots and lots of questions. Okay. Chiragag54 would like to know when and if the Townstar world map is getting expanded. Because there's a lot of, you know, space being taken up at this point. Every time we have the weekly competition, it fills up almost instantly. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit you with mine, and then, you know, Elliot can hit you with his. One way we could do it is work to get you guys a much larger map, but we have an amazing controller at the company. Great ideas can come from everywhere, guys, and that's just part of game development. And I loved her idea, and I just can't get it out of my head. This is Jason's wife. She said, instead of having one server, we should have multiple servers and kind of like poker tables. And I love this idea. Like have kind of the easy server. And if you can make it to the top of that server, we could give you an NFT or something that would let you unlock or play in the next tiered servers. So it's kind of like poker tables. So instead of making one map bigger, we could kind of make it that like there's the beginner server for championships, and then like the expert, and and then the advanced, and then the super legendary players. Like if you make it in the top 10 on one server for a month straight, then you get an NFT or a key that lets you play in a server that's higher. So I think for me, guys, instead of making one map that's much larger, I'd rather let players kind of group and segment themselves into maps that they want to experience and enjoy. I like the idea, and we could do this without a tremendous amount of trouble, just giving you guys a lot more maps. Like when you're playing in RTS, like I'd love I just can't get this out of my head, like a skull map with crossbones, and like, we could make all sorts of funny, cool maps to deliver you guys as well, especially for these, like this May Mayhem. I wish we could have just made a completely new map. That would have been really fun. So one route technically that we can go, guys, and again, it's game development. So it's about time and cost. We could spend a lot of money and time and try to expand that world map to be, twice as big as it is, which would be 4 times bigger, really. Or we could try to get you guys a bunch of little different maps, or maybe other championship servers with different tiers. And I kind of like the idea of having a lot more maps as opposed to just expanding the one that we have. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that, Elliot, and the community as well.
You're asking a former level designer if he wants more maps? Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think adding more different types of maps and a whole tiering poker table analogy would work really well. Some people will come in and they won't be a space they wanted to get, or some people want a certain type of configuration and try to rush to go get it really quickly. If you have different tiers and varieties to play in, you might want to play in a different bracket, and you might want to try a different crazy strategy one week in a different bracket and build up on that plan, then take that plan knowledge and then challenge yourself at another tier. Those kinds of things are like achievement progression from what you came up with in your head, like I was talking about earlier. I think that's a really great idea. That could be done a lot quicker too. I think if you go in and try to redo the whole existing map the way it's plotted out now, that's just going to slow down fun factor getting out there. So these experimental ideas of doing multiple different types of maps, and even thematic fun, skull, goofy map, Christmas map, whatever you wanted to do, pumpkin map, those kind of things could be fun on the side. I think the tiering thing would have an immediate level of attraction for people who know that they're not going to be in either a weekly competition or something else against the best of the best all the time.
Right.
And, everything has leagues, and so there's nothing wrong with someone, hey, I'm going to play in this league. Only people have, ever achieved this much are going to be in the same kind of neighborhood as me. Then they can form, friendships and hang out with each other, have channels they can communicate, share ideas. I think that would be great. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, Monty Burns says that would definitely encourage the less professional players to play if they have a chance to win something outside of the big boy competitions. Because I think that, like, I know for a fact I would love to compete in May Mayhem, except I know that I would get my ass handed to me so amazingly badly that I would not even think to participate. And I know that there are a lot of people who feel that way. And I think that if, we were segmenting and pulling those top players and putting them in an area where they could, really refine themselves and compete against, just top players, that would leave a lot of room for other people.
Yeah, I'd love to, and I'd love to go really deep. I mean, I kind of consider Townstar an esport for everyone. Like, I would love to have those top tier servers, make people famous, get their names out there. I mean, here's a great question for the community. When we originally were making Townstar, we were building in this concept that you could tap on anyone's town and see what they were and check out their town, and immediately learned that, like, what you better never show anyone what I'm doing in my town. That is my secret strategy.
Spybot.
That is my, but I think it'd be really interesting or cool at maybe the top tier level to, you know, have there be a live stream. You can watch the people's towns as they build them and have some massive reward. And, really kind of esport the heck out of it for our top tier players. I'd
So
love to see that.
Craven7 has a really cool question here. He says, will we get servers, or sorry, I assume I don't know, maybe I should do that. Will we get servers where there's a total gameplay clock that will allow gameplay to be paused? For example, a server where the tournament is 5 days, 120 hours of total gameplay, and you have 7 days total until the competition is done. So,
Mhm.
You can make it. I mean, I know that one of
We've
the
talked
things.
about that.
Okay.
We've talked about that. It's like part of winning Townstar, especially in these big tournaments, is like kind of don't sleep.
The
Yeah, yeah. Don't minimize.
coffee.
So
Coffee's amazing.
yeah, I mean, one of the things that there's a mechanic that they have in other games, and I just hate it so bad that I've never thought about it for Townstar. And Elliot, it'd be interesting to get your take on this. And I think I'm just sour on this mechanic before I say it because it was just used as a monetization play at other companies I've worked at, and I hated that. But it's the energy mechanic. It's like some games in the free to play space will give you a certain amount of energy or moves that you can perform, and then when you run out of those, obviously, well, you can pay to have more. And I always hated that. I just wanted people to be able to play Townstar as much as they want. But I actually think for Townstar, if we removed the pay to get more and gave everyone like 1 hour a day, like a 5-day competition, and everyone has 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, let them go as hard as they can for that 2 hours, but then it turns off and they have to wait for more time. That might be very, very interesting and would level the playing field a little bit for people that don't have as much time to play. But what do you think about that, Elliot?
It's kind of like pre-gaming for a sporting event. There's a lot of practice, there's a lot of coaching, there's a lot of tactics and strategy. That when the game goes on, the clock gets on, no matter what sport it is, that you better show up. And for some people, it's the psychological duress. It's a challenge to defeat that. For some people, it's just executing their plan as quickly as possible. Lots of games have that. That would be really, really interesting, especially if someone's allowed to kind of practice and pre-game and make their blueprint of what they're going to try to do. But when they're actually given the space to work in, they don't know which map piece they're going to have to work with, and everyone's getting the same map to like equalize it. These are just wild ideas.
Yeah, that's true too.
The pre-game,
we could try something like that as well.
if you're playing and watching a clock ticking down, saying I got to get my stuff done by at 7:05 it stops, and then tomorrow afternoon from 6 to 7:05 I can do it again. There's so many different types of things you could do with the game beyond all the other core stuff we're going to build up anyway. This is just like the new ideas for the future.
Here's a fun one that we totally have the technology for now. We could have a 4-hour competition.
I think that'd be fun.
That'd be totally fun, right? And we absolutely could do that. We could have, spin up like, hey, and maybe after May Mayhem, have some sort of cool tournament, just 4 hours. That's it. And choose a time that, this is what's so hard.
That's what's tricky.
From the, because we have a global community of players. It's like, it's going to be a bad time for somebody somewhere, no matter what we choose. But I still think it'd be an interesting experiment. Well, to do like a 4-hour or 6-hour tournament just for one day on a weekend or something.
Couldn't you do that though, where it takes place over the course of 24 hours, but any players only have access to the game board for 4 hours?
Oh yeah. We could extend the functionality of the game to incorporate that. Like we'd have to engineer something like that.
Right.
But what we could do right now is we could have a competition server, have a 4-hour competition, and we could spin that up and launch it, let everyone know it's coming, and just see how far people can get in a 4-hour time frame. And I think that'd be really fun.
We could do multiples of those around the clock.
Yeah,
that would be very easily done. We could do
a 4-hour competition and have it start every 4 hours, 6 games in a row, and then everyone would get some reasonable time that they probably could jump in on. But we have that technology. right now.
GamerZone 365 suggests we call this the Summer Blitz tournaments.
That's cool.
What about the folks in the Southern Hemisphere?
Winter,
Those the
also
Aussie players in
Blitz
New Zealand,
tournaments.
Winter, yeah.
yeah, in Africa, South America. So
Yeah, my if I were to play Townstar in the Southern Hemisphere, it would be just like me playing Townstar in the Northern Hemisphere, except my game would go down the toilet the opposite direction. Let's see, what else do we have? How about Shirag would like to know about airline delivery in Townstar using jet fuel. Oh, and Mizuka also was curious about the Boombot.
Yeah, those are just so everyone knows, there is I call them promises. That's what Elliot and I've been calling them this week. It's like, here's promises that we've made to the community. Those are all going to be fulfilled. And I told Elliot, no matter what we do with the game, we need to fill that stuff. So first off, we do have the we have this concept of jet fuel, and if everyone's ever wondered why you can make jet fuel, it is because we wanted to do a cargo jet. A cargo jet would ignore pathing constraints and would allow you to submit a craft and fly over rivers and mountains in a direct line to the city. So that's where the jet fuel comes in. It was supposed to go in for the cargo jet, but we never extended the code to have a world map object that would ignore pathing constraints. So the truck, will go around mountains and rivers. The boat sticks to the water, but it's an extension of the code to have something go in a straight line over the mountains and rivers. So the cargo jet is coming, guys. That's still in the plans. The Boombot absolutely is a promise that we have made the community. And what we were how we were thinking of that working is, it's like think of it like a trade vehicle that you could send to somebody's town, and the Boombot would be a little bit of a dummy. He would just kind of show up and randomly shoot a shell or a missile at somebody's town to destroy one of their buildings.
oh my gosh, you're gonna have a defense mechanism for that.
Yes. I mean, and here's why, guys. And again, this is like, we're making Townstar and we want it to appeal to everyone. And so there are people that really want to get deep into the economy and how to tie the crafts together. And there are a lot of people, and we get this a lot, like, can I just blow up somebody's town? Can my tech trees ultimately lead me to my, the ability at the very top of the game, like if you can get 100 blue steel together, can I just fire a missile at somebody and try to like take out people that are, some people really want that war element brought into Townstar, and Boombot is going to be the way that we test that, which feeds into, again, these custom servers. Some people may not want that,
Yeah.
So I think people need to be able to create their own servers with, these checkboxes kind of enabled or disabled, to kind of craft the game that they think would be really excited and try to attract as many people as they can to their server, which would be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the best things to do. If you can put those kind of tools in the hands of the players, they'll gravitate through things that are the most fun for them. They're going to find the fun better than we ever could with the formula that we give them. I mean, so I love that idea. I think it'd be fantastic.
So Achille has a question here, Michael, that you may or may not want to answer.
But
may or may not. But Achille would like to know, will there be a cargo truck?
The answer to that is absolutely yes. And that might be coming sooner than he could have ever imagined.
Interesting. I wonder if that might be an NFT that is dropped to the Node network before too terribly long. Just wondering out loud. You never know.
It's entirely possible that could be the case.
It's interesting. I wonder if perhaps there might be multiple variants of wheeled vehicles with.
They sound like leading questions.
I'm just wondering. I'm just asking the questions, Elliot.
Jason, that you say that, I do think that it would make sense to have maybe two more ground
Interesting.
units with varying capacities.
Interesting. Yeah, that seems we'll have to give that a little bit more consideration, I think.
I'm not in on this joke. Let me write this down to ask Michael about this later. That's awesome.
Let's see here. Excuse me. You need to not breathe saliva. It's bad for you. How can we get Townstar into more players' hands? Now, this is from Chapowski. And the question here, they're asking about mobile apps, and which kind of comes back to this question of why aren't we in the App Store? What thoughts? Is there any evolving thinking on that, or are we encountering the same roadblocks to App Store apps and things like that we've encountered in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way to distribute what we're doing here at Gala. Our mission is to let you guys own your own content and own these games. And that mission is just diametrically opposed from the mission of an app store or a play store that have to make sure that every single thing that ever happens inside their ecosystem ensures they get 30% of your company's revenue. So, if there's some way that you guys could own something, or there is any sort of, game items or NFTs involved, how do they ensure they get their cut? And I don't know if they can. And so they have what's called terms of service, right? In the same way that any platform or thing you sign on to, you have a terms of service, and if there's a violation, then you're kicked off for whatever reason. As a developer, when you're making stuff for Google or Apple, it's the same thing. They've got a terms of service you sign, and they've got language in there that talks about blockchain connections or ties. It was pretty murky when I looked at it a long time ago. They just kind of reserve the right to shut your game down if there's any violations. We can't let Townstar be shut down because we implement something new or cool that empowers you guys to own content. We can't have suddenly Google or Apple say, "Oh, you're done. That's it." We want to be able to experiment and play and learn with you guys and kind of grow what this means to empower you guys to own your own content. And we can't have that Eye of Sauron upon us all the time, threatening to shut us down if we implement this feature or that feature. So it's not impossible that we can be in there. It's just that right now Townstar is playable in a browser, and it works pretty well. And anyone in the world who has a browser, even if it's on a mobile device, can log in and play. And it works pretty well. So I kind of feel like we're playable on all devices. It'd be a little slicker and more polished for sure if it was, a downloadable app, but that's just not really reality on those platforms right now. And I think they could change their ways, and I think they will. I think what we're building here at Gala is going to show the big players that there's a different way to do it, and this is what people want. And I kind of look at it like Uber or YouTube, or it's kind of turning things over to people. What would happen, and decentralizing this stuff and giving it back to the people. What would happen,
Yeah, I remember, back in the early days of the internet when, email was first becoming a thing, how there were all of these, speculations about the postal service, demanding postage for emails and things like that. I think that, kind of at a systemic level, there's often a lot of pushback against new technological innovations. And our job and responsibility as a company, but then also as a community, is to push our innovations as far as we possibly can and to spread them to the other people that are in our groups. I think that most of us probably got our first email address because we had a friend who's like, "Hey, email is cool. Try this thing out," and you get put on a platform, and that's how you start. I think that we're going to I think that with Townstar, there's a great opportunity here for people to help expand the network. Invite your friends. Use that social link that you have inside of the app.gala.games and get it everywhere. Get your friends on the platform as well, because that's how we grow this. That's how we kind of fight back against the hegemonic, gigantic companies that sort of like look down on the blockchain world. We're going to change gaming forever, and we need all of your help to be able to do it. So we've got another question here for Elliot. I have to go back and find it. I don't recall who asked it, but essentially, do you plan on reading the Townstar suggestions board?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can't build this whole thing together unless we all figure it out and listen to each other. And right now I'm in this download mode. I'm downloading the history, everything that Michael and you guys have been working on together with the community, not answering the door. And then listening to all your suggestions ahead. Some of you are incredible, great players. Some of you are brand new players. The feedback from every player of any skill level informs game designers and everyone else. I'm like, well, how can we make the experience better? You don't want to get in a situation where you're just listening to just your top tier players all the time. You have to understand that all these different players come from a different perspective. They're all seeking fun in a different way. So good game designers listen to all the feedback from everyone and tries to figure a way to arrange all that so you can give it back to everyone. It's like when being an architect designing a beach house for someone. You want that family to really love it. So that whole client kind of servant leadership game design thing is a big thing with me. I think it's really, really important. So yeah, it's like Michael said earlier, we're not going dark for 6 months and then showing a release video and then we're releasing it and we hope it does well and we're watching Steam numbers. That's the traditional way of making games. This is much more collaborative. We're building this, pioneering this stuff together. That's why I'm here, because I'm excited about that. Sorry, hope that. Go ahead.
Oh, that's great, Elliot. And I think one of the things that pains me greatly is, like, I'll go into the Townstar suggestions. I think Discord is not the best place for the suggestions, or at least we need to figure out a better way to track. Hey, that's a great suggestion, and kind of pin that suggestion somewhere, probably in the Townstar website. We need to update the Townstar website and say, like, here's the top player suggestions, and have people be able to vote on them or something like that. Because one of the things that pains me greatly is I'll go into Townstar suggestions, be like, oh my God, yes, that is such a great idea. Yes,
Well,
I might have missed the one that's 8, scrolling up 8, 9, 10, I'll just miss it. We'll just miss that stuff. It's flowing with incredible suggestions, but we need to do a better job and figure out a better way to kind of track and document them all.
Great idea. We should do that.
Let's crowdsource this from the community. Hey guys, what
Like
sort of platform can we
top 10 player suggestions for Townstar? That would be so helpful.
Somewhere where we can post suggestions and people can upvote it. If somebody sets that up, we will look at it.
Participate in it. Yeah.
So
and there's
go for
and
it.
And we can talk to you. We can talk to the community too. One of the things that's always on a developer mind is this concept of feature scoring. And feature scoring is just like, okay, here's what it'll do. Like, you think about the impact to the business, you think about the impact to the experience, and then at the end, there's kind of a multiplier for how long it would take to get something like this in the game. And that can affect how you prioritize. There might be an unbelievable suggestion that we absolutely could do in 2 days. The bigger suggestions, they might be much longer from a roadmap standpoint, and they would require a lot more thinking and resources, and that's always a little trickier for us. But I think we could kind of show you guys again, kind of how the sausage is made a little bit from a game development standpoint, and it's a lot of fun. But sometimes there are suggestions that's like, wow, that is so much cooler and better, and they're not too hard to put in. The tactical overlay, like if you go to the settings menu, I was talked out of calling it the tactical overlay. What's that called? We were just looking at this the other day, Elliot, weren't we?
Yeah, I forgot what the name of it is. It shows the health bars and the filling rates of all your things you've resources.
That's right. In the setting, in the setting menu, in the settings menu for Townstar, you can tap on a button that
Status overlay.
status overlay. Yeah, Nina talked me out of tactical overlay. Um, and it just shows you how full all your storage units are. That was a suggestion that's not too difficult, for us to get in, but I think really makes a difference for the players that want kind of at a glance to see where, how their storage units are, you know, how much capacity they have to store the stuff that they're harvesting. So anyway, if we get those suggestions from you guys too, we can kind of give you some feedback on what's hard to make and what's not. Some things that seem simple are extremely difficult, and some things that might seem very hard are actually quite easy. So I know the community really loves hearing a little bit about what it's like to develop games and kind of how we think internally. And I love talking to you guys about it. And I know Elliot has that same spirit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we have time for a couple more questions here, and then we've got to go because we have other meetings that we've got to get to today. So let's see here. There are people who are throwing in some suggestions. I can't read and talk at the same time. So we will be looking at some of those. But if you guys set something up, we will look at it. We're totally willing to look at something you guys put together.
We'll just miss. I think what I worry about is incredible suggestions being missed in Discord.
Yeah,
that's a fear that I have. And every time that I've dug in to the Townstar suggestions channel, I'm always like, God, that is incredible.
Carrie's been capturing a bunch of them too. Remember, she's been grabbing a lot of them and saving them for us. Sorry.
Yeah, but let's do a better job of it for sure, guys, and we'll try to prioritize them and have a discussion with you about getting them in.
Okay, let's see. How big would you like and again, I don't know if this is a question that we can answer, but how big would you like to see the Townstar team getting as we develop?
Personally, and Elliot, you can weigh on this too, but I think size is not always the answer. And in fact, sometimes size can destroy a development team. Sometimes, the best thing to do is to have a smaller team, have an incredible tool set, and have people who are aces at their job, meaning you don't need a lot of project management. You don't need to document something to death. You can have lighter discussions and move really quickly, kind of give them that hill to take and let them attack it and go for it. So, I would like to see Townstar be probably 15 to 20 people, hyper functional people with great tools. That picture can change a little bit when if the Townstar Forever goes live, because there might just need to be an unbelievable amount of content for that. Mm-hmm. And that would probably largely be a lot of outsourcing, but there'd need to be a lot more people internally integrating that content. But I think 15 is a wonderful number from a development standpoint. But what are your thoughts, Elliot?
Yeah, I agree completely. Some of the games I've worked on around the world, some of the most magical, really getting to what's fun games were done with like 10 to 12 people. And the reason why some of the modern world, some of these studios get so huge is because they just pile on so much production value and people are just manufacturing at that point. If you get that small group of people that are super passionate, that are like very, very Renaissance with everything they can do, and they're a believer, then they're connected like a band might be, like a rock band. They'll be able to improvise at a moment's notice. They can take an idea and know each other person's thinking. And also when you have that kind of chemistry with a small team, they also understand, well, someone's really good at this and someone's really good at this. Put those two together, you're going to have cooler ideas. And then they can react faster, make faster decisions. When you have larger studios, you have to inform someone, then the producer's got to get involved, and there's a scrum team, they got to work it out, they got to track it. And somewhere down the line, the spirit of creating and making something fun for people turns into manufacturing something to be delivered that goes into a vacuum. And I think with the small team size like you're talking about, it's going to be much more passionate. And it's also going to be better, to tell you the truth. There's just no way around it. Bigger is not always better. Sometimes bigger is more convoluted.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that wraps up our time that we've got for today. So thank you very much, Elliot and Michael, for joining us, and massive shout out to the entire community. You guys all absolutely rock, and we love you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here, and then we will catch up with you again very soon. And we will, of course, all be in Discord all the time, as always. And yeah, good luck on the rest of your second week of the May Mayhem competition.
Yeah, thanks for
Guys,
having me.
Peace,
Nice to meet
guys.
everyone. All right.